The full moon snatched the luxurious estate from the semi-darkness. A lonely butterfly fluttered near the windows. The wind swayed the curtain. Nothing disturbed the night's peace. The guy told Raymond that there was something he didn't understand. With a trembling voice, the blonde asked Cedric what he couldn't understand. The handsome man gently took her chin. He assumed that the lady was not interested in why he became so strange every time he saw her. Raymond had been wondering about this for a long time. The girl noticed that he looked worried. Cedric reported that his lover had aroused him greatly. But now she denied everything. She came to the guy because he complained about a fever. Raymond was indifferent to her husband. He assumed she didn't understand it. The guy explained that he became like that just from looking at her. Raymond assumed he would say it was because of her existence. Having pushed her husband away, the girl assumed that he behaved this way because of a problem with his body or brain. The handsome man kissed her fragile hand tenderly. He realized that he was wrong. Cedric said that he was going crazy to lose just the sight of her. Raymond realized that if he decided to do this, her plan would be turned upside down. Before she came into this world, the girl was a doctor. She had problems with money. The doctor worked in a small rural hospital. The old woman did not know how to repay the brunette for her help. The patient promised to bring her something to eat next time. The doctor assured her that she did not need anything. For the girl, the fact of caring for the poor was very important. Smiling, she said that she loved her job. To her great regret, the happiness did not last long. The girl's father passed away. The man was only concerned with alcohol and gambling. The deceased left behind huge debts. Soon the hospital was closed and the girl had to work hard for 4 years in the emergency room. The head doctor reported that the patient had no guardian and no money. The man said that there was a patient in the VIP department who needed an operation. The brunette muttered through her teeth that she couldn't work like that. The doctor couldn't stand this attitude towards patients. She said that she couldn't work with such cheapskates. The boss asked where she was going. The man ordered the brunette to come back. Because of the debt, the doctor had to give up her dream. After leaving the hospital, she didn't know what to do. The girl understood that she could endure the rented room for another month. The question arose of what to do next. The doctor suddenly felt unbearable pain. Before closing her eyes, only one thought occurred to her. The girl's eyes began to water. She couldn't believe that she would die such a death. The brunette considered it unfair. The medic promised herself to live her next life the way she wanted. The maid turned to Milady. Getting up from the luxurious bed, Raymond felt that her throat was very sore. The girl clearly remembered walking down the street after leaving the hospital. She couldn't believe that she had died. Reborn, realizing that she was not in an emergency room, but in a luxurious bedroom with servants. The worker, with tears in her eyes, said that the lady was completely wrong. The blonde clarified her name. The maid said that the lady's name was Riemann. The name seemed familiar to the girl. The reincarnated often read romantic fantasy when her life seemed gray and meaningless. The doctor tried to escape from the dark reality. The main plot was a romantic story between the main character Alina and Kalyan. The girl remembered that Cedric was as beautiful as a flower. The main character's younger brother often interfered in the relationship. The guy was constantly next to Alina like a shadow. The reincarnated realized that she was reincarnated in the body of Cedric's wife. Raymond was a typical villain in the novel. The aristocrat was very jealous. The villainess, because her husband did not love her, decided to drink poison and lost consciousness. Raymond drank the poison herself to attract the attention of her lover. After the truth was revealed, the girl was destroyed. The reborn noticed the strange behavior of the maid. The girl was afraid that she had been transported to the moment when the aristocrat drank the poison. The lady realized that she would soon be destroyed. The worker asked if Milady was okay. The maid suggested calling the doctors again. The girl suggested that Jane had cried too much. Raymond asked her to calm down. The worker was extremely happy that Milady was safe and sound. Jane was the only person who remained close to the villainess. The girl realized that she didn't like Cedric very much. The reborn thought that it was too stupid for a married man to risk his life for the sake of unrequited love. Raymond knew that her husband was a supporting character. She did not want to have such a partner. Jane informed Milady that the Duke had already finished training. The maid reported that he was heading to the mistress. The villainess could not believe that she had to do so much because of her whims. The reborn understood that Cedric didn't even love her. Smiling, the girl thanked her friend for telling her about it. Raymond knew she would soon be sent away somewhere. She was glad she would see her husband's face before leaving. Cedric was a handsome man who was able to charm absolutely anyone. The elegant patent leather shoes tapped on the floor. The girl understood that her husband would look like a god. The Duke looked at his wife indifferently. Cedric said he came to her as soon as he heard that she was awake. The maid whispered that the lady's nose was bleeding. The reborn stood in a daze. She looked closely at her husband's face. Raymond realized that the Duke was indeed incredibly handsome. With tears in her eyes, Jane asked the lady if everything was all right. The maid noticed that her friend had a nosebleed. She suggested calling a doctor. The Duchess assured her that everything was fine. The girl said she could wipe the blood herself. Raymond took a handkerchief. The aristocrat realized that the bleeding had stopped. The maid realized that her friend's body was greatly weakened by the poison. The Duke reported that his wife's body was too weak. The guy admitted that when he found out that she had fainted, his heart broke. The handsome man said that his life was full of despair. Cedric explained that he could not describe his feelings. The reborn could not understand what was happening. The girl tried to remember what kind of relationship there was between them in the original. The aristocrat warned his wife that there was no such thing as true love. She remembered that the Duke had asked her to show that they were a loving couple. The villainess grinned and asked to get rid of stupid thoughts. Raymond assured that she was not looking for love. The wife assured that she used the Duke. The handsome man said that he really wanted to hug her. The guy was afraid that his wife's fragile body could break. The reincarnated woman realized that she had to maintain a good relationship with her husband. She was afraid of being expelled. Jane burst into tears and said it was a heartbreaking scene. Cold sweat appeared on the Duchess's face. She realized that the maid was overacting. Smiling, the mistress asked her to leave her alone with her husband. The workers hurried out of the room. Cedric assumed that the girls had something to tell. He reminded that his wife invited him. The reincarnated woman couldn't concentrate because of the guy's beauty. The villainess did not want to suffer anymore. The Duchess said that she wanted to file for divorce. The girl said that she could not live with such a person under the same roof. Cedric adjusted his hair and assumed that his wife no longer wanted to obey the king. The aristocrat explained that he was used to keeping his oath. The guy said that because of this he had to obey. Raymond couldn't believe that there were no other options. The Duchess asked whether the king's instructions included a proposal to preserve a happy life until the end of their days. The girl understood that this was part of the wedding vow. The wife asked the handsome man to say that she asked for a divorce. She realized that the guy kept her close to him not because of love. Cedric explained that even if he gave his consent, it was a rather complicated process. The Duke suggested they talk the next morning. The reborn reassured herself that she would have time to think things over. Jane asked Milady how yesterday's conversation had gone. The maid, noticing the gloomy expression on her face, Raymond asked what had happened. The worker said she had brought a dress for Milady for breakfast. Our heroine swung her legs off the bed. The girl tried to remember what the description of the emperor was like when she read the book in the original. Father Raymond, as the mistress of the Calypso clan, was a hero of the war with the kingdom of Lador. When war broke out between the kingdoms, Count Calypso betrayed the kingdom of Lador and conspired with the kingdom of Martin. The man was appointed Duke of Martin after his victory. Other aristocrats looked down on him. People remembered that he came from a hostile kingdom. The emperor said that he could not conclude a marriage contract with his family. The girl realized that her husband did not trust her because she was the daughter of a traitor. The reincarnated one sat in front of the mirror while the maid carefully combed her hair. The girl wondered if the divorce would harm Duke Roger. It seemed to Raymond that her husband had been thinking about something important the previous day. Jane noticed that this dress suited the lady very well. The worker assured that the color of the dress perfectly matched the blonde's pale skin. Smiling, the Duchess agreed that the dress was truly stunning. Tucking her hair behind her ear, the girl suggested going to breakfast. With a beaming smile, her husband said that he was waiting for her. Raymond noticed that his game had become much better than yesterday. Bowing her head, the Duchess asked forgiveness for the long wait. The gentleman asked to bring food. With trembling hands, the man tried to carry the plate. The man dropped the dish from his hands and fell to the ground. Foam came out of his mouth. The worker's body convulsed. The reborn realized that Rodel had a stroke. The girl noticed chills and convulsions. The Duchess decided to first remove the dangerous objects and check the condition of the head. The butler assured that they would soon remove the victim. The maid warned that the mistress's dress could get dirty. Raymond couldn't understand what was wrong with ruining the dress. The reborn remembered her Hippocratic oath. She knew that nothing was more important than the patient's safety. The mistress coldly ordered Harry to stand up and help her turn the man onto his side. The fragile girl tried with all her might to turn Rodel over. The reborn ordered the broken plate and cutlery to be removed from the floor. Jane turned to Milady. The Duchess was kneeling in front of the victim, breathing heavily. She was glad that the worker's breathing had become more stable. Her friend noticed that the hem of Raymond's dress was dirty. The worker suggested that the lady change her clothes. The courtier promised to ask Rodell to compensate for the ruined dress. The reincarnated realized that due to the class difference, she was receiving a lot of attention. She realized that she was a typical villain. The girl realized that in her place the heroine would have made a scandal. Raymond understood that she would have fired all the workers. The reborn did not want to ignore this situation. The lady said that the life of a person was more important than her dress. The Duchess reported that she was perfectly fine. She assured that there was no need to worry about the clothes. The girl said that she intended to return to her room. The reincarnated one cast a contemptuous glance at her husband. She noticed that the handsome man's expression didn't even change. Cedric was staring into space. The girl said that because of what had happened, the Duke would have to continue the meal alone. Having bowed, the butler promised to bring a new dish. The Duchess sat in her room staring into space. Jane brought her mistress some freshly cooked food. The maid asked if Raymond was feeling any better. The Duchess muttered that she was perfectly fine. The reborn remembered that in the emergency room this kind of thing often happened. The worker said that Rodell wanted to meet the savior. The worker wanted to tell the lady something. Raymond asked to let the man in. The waiter fell to his knees and assured that he was truly sorry. The worker suggested that he deserved to die. With tears in his eyes, the man reminded that nothing like this had happened to him since he broke Alina's favorite cup. He promised that he would not make such a mistake again. The worker was afraid that this curse would never go away. The reincarnated woman felt sorry that she did not have medical tools with her. She realized that in this world, people from the lower class lived without any treatment. The girl coldly asked Rodell to stand up. The aristocrat assured him that he was not guilty of anything. Milady asked Jane to give her a pen and a piece of paper. Raymond explained that if he wanted to apologize for real, he had to promise her something. Sitting down next to the worker, the girl asked him to eat what she had written. The reborn asked him to sleep at least 8 hours a day. She asked if he could keep his promise. Rodell said that because of his work he could only sleep 6 hours. The girl asked if he wanted to be suspended from work. He promised to do everything. The reborn prescribed the worker low-fat and a low-carb diet. She hoped that the man would soon feel better. The Duchess knew that there were no anticonvulsants in this world. The lady asked how long he had been working in the kitchen. It turned out that it had lasted about a year. Raymond told her faithful maid that she had to meet her husband right now. The Duke became wary when he saw the girl. Cedric assumed that she wanted to continue yesterday's conversation. The girl said that she wanted Rodell to work for her. The aristocrat grinned and asked why his wife hired the guy. The reincarnated woman said that she wanted the man to work in the library or laundry. She explained that there were no dangerous things in those rooms. The girl assured that she wanted to transfer the man to a safer place. The Duke was amazed that his wife cared about the health of her subordinates. The aristocrat was angry when she realized that her husband was trying to provoke her into emotions. She realized that her husband knew how to use his handsome face perfectly. The girl decided to look at his chest and calm down a little. Cedric asked how his wife knew what measures to take with such an illness. The Duke asked how he could trust her. Raymond looked closely at her husband's cleavage. The reborn did not know how to remain calm in such a situation. The girl reminded that Cedric grew up without worries. He fell asleep in a warm bed and enjoyed delicious food. The reborn remembered how people lived without money. The Duchess reported that some dreamed of dying quickly. The girl said that saving people could change her life. She explained that she could not calmly watch someone die right before her eyes. Raymond shared that it was unbearably painful to watch. The reborn realized that she had professional deformation. She was prepared that Cedric would not understand this idea. The husband coldly agreed to give Rodell away. The aristocrat asked what had happened to his wife after she had lost consciousness. The servant suggested that those who were present that day might have known about it. Roberto reported that Duke Kilian and Alina had already left the mansion. The handsome man reported that the conversation was over. The boy pierced the advisor with a cold look and said that the incident should not leak out further. The Duke said that the boy was responsible for it. Roberto assumed that this was why the gentleman wanted to expel the lady. The guy was sure that his wife was a vanilla good girl who had access to his money. The Duke became wary, wondering what the girl was planning. The handsome man knew he had to find out immediately. Raymond lay in her bed, yawning sweetly and stretching. She realized that she had talked too much in the presence of a stranger. The girl was afraid that her husband would doubt her words. The reborn understood that the villainess was not like that by nature. The Duchess tried to reassure herself that she had changed this dark past. Raymond got out of bed and opened her wardrobe. She understood that she had to think about how to live on. The Duchess understood that in order to have a good life after the divorce, she needed to sort out the situation. The reborn decided to go out and take a little walk. The villainess noticed a strange wall. She realized that there was a secret door in her wardrobe. The girl hesitantly opened the secret passage. Raymond did not know that there was a distant passage in the closet. The Duchess decided to crawl into the secret room. She looked with admiration at the small room with many books. The reborn realized that the villainess was fond of reading. The girl took one of the manuscripts. The effects of medicinal herbs were described on the paper. She realized that these notes looked like a doctor's or pharmacist's notebook. The girl couldn't believe that the villain was into pharmaceuticals. Raymond realized that there was no mention of this in the original. Taking out a small sketch, the Duchess read that it depicted Lily's beloved. Soon the flow of thoughts was interrupted by an insistent knock on the door. The girl decided to solve the problem immediately. The maid announced the arrival of Duke Calypso. Smiling, Raymond realized that her father had arrived. Jane noticed that her friend's hair was in disarray. The aristocrat grinned and assured that the hairstyle still looked good. And she realized that it was ruined because she was quickly climbing out of the secret passage. The villainess knew that it was better for her to leave the mansion because of the divorce. She hoped that people would not despise her too much. The girl understood that her status would not change after the divorce. Raymond understood that her father doted on her. The Duchess remembered that between them, a wall appeared when the father heard about the wedding. The girl understood that he would not allow his beloved daughter's reputation to be ruined. The Duke extended his hand and said that he had been waiting for her for a long time. Raymond admitted that she was surprised by her father's sudden arrival. The Duke explained that he had come to meet his beloved daughter. Heder admitted that he had not even thought about the warning. The man smiled and thanked the worker for accompanying his daughter. The aristocrat said that he could go. Bowing, the servant hoped that they would have a good time. Raymond assumed that her father was very tired after a long journey. She invited him to sit down. A radiant smile shone on the Duchess's face. Pomrachnev, the aristocrat, clarified what made the girl laugh so much. The Duke said that there were rumors that his daughter's relationship was not going well. Heder assumed that his daughter wanted to ruin her life completely. The man asked to keep his identity. The reborn realized that the book did not reflect the essence of people. The Duchess realized that her father was an ordinary scum. Swinging, Gator realized that the girl had forced him to teach her a lesson again. The reborn could not believe that the Duke had actually beaten her. Raymond couldn't understand how such a man could be called a father. The reborn understood that she had no other choice. She couldn't afford to make a mistake. The girl remembered that she had excellent dissection skills. The door swung open. Cedric, with an unwavering expression on his face, said that he was glad to meet the Duke. The father gently stroked Raymond's cheek. The man noticed that his daughter had lost a lot of weight. The Duchess thought that all the nobles had excellent acting skills. The handsome man asked his father-in-law how he was doing. Heder said that he was doing well. The man said that he had heard very bad news. Wary, Cedric asked what the man was talking about. The Duke assumed that his son-in-law was not very concerned about marriage. The handsome man said that he wanted to hear the advice of an aristocrat. He assumed that his father-in-law decided to visit them because of rumors. The man reminded that the conversation was about his daughter's well-being. Cedric said that rich people live well without any worries. Cold sweat appeared on the villainess's face. She realized that her husband had repeated her words exactly. The man became wary and asked what the guy meant. Cedric said that the rich grew up without any worries and began to interfere in other people's lives. The Duke explained that this was why people often gossiped. Smiling, the man realized that Cedric was still the same. The Duke asked to warn him in advance about the visit. The guy explained that he could not receive the guest properly. The Heder said that he did not intend to surprise the matchmaker. The man assured that he just wanted to check on his daughter. The handsome man suggested that he had inadvertently inserted himself into the conversation. Cedric realized it would be polite of him to leave. He hoped that his wife would have a good time with her father. The girl was sure that her husband had come to save her. Ryman understood that she could not remain alone with the man. The villainess realized that she had to follow the handsome man at any cost. She called the guy a cute nickname. Cedric's face turned pale. Raymond reminded that her father had not visited their estate for a long time. She suggested that her husbands sit together. The reborn one had no intention of obeying some old man. The girl thought about pretending to be a fool. The Duchess considered putting on a dress and doing a somersault. The handsome man cautiously asked if he could be present. The girl reminded them that they were a family. Raymond explained that spouses should not have secrets from each other. Mentally, she begged Cedric to agree. Hedder said that it was not worth it. The man assured that it was time for him to leave. The Duchess breathed a sigh of relief upon hearing these words. The daughter reminded that the Duke had just arrived. The girl said that she would not be greedy. She explained that she would not want you to be an egoist who took away. The father has precious time. Smiling, the man promised to babysit his daughter next time. The lord of the estate wished his father-in-law a good journey. The Duke cast a disdainful glance at his daughter. The reborn assumed that the villainess had been beaten since childhood. The girl understood that there was no mention of this in the novel. The character's memory never fully returned to her. She could not understand why she was reborn into this particular body. Hanging over his wife, Cedric asked if she wanted to tell him anything. Cold sweat appeared on the villainess's face. She asked what her husband wanted to talk about. The guy reminded her that she wanted to talk about divorce. The Duke explained that they never finished last time. Cedric reminded that there were already many different rumors among the nobles. The guy noticed that they knew much more than was necessary. The villainess realized that these rumors had been growing for quite some time. The aristocrat suggested simply ignoring them. The Duke warned that it would be quite difficult for them to get divorced. The handsome man reminded that their relationship was built thanks to the king's order. Cedric knew it wouldn't be easy to resist. He hoped his wife would be able to assess the situation sensibly. The Duke reminded that Raymond's father had come to visit. The handsome man explained that this marriage was not their personal problem. The guy reminded her of the terms of their marriage. Cedric said that there was no time to implement her plans. The Duke explained that he had been promised the principality as a dowry. The handsome man said that it would be difficult to change the man's mind after the divorce. The reborn was shocked that Cedric was such an ambitious character. The villainess was sure that he was only focused on Alina. Raymond's eyes widened, suggesting that he didn't want her to break up their marriage. The guy nodded approvingly. The Duchess's eyes sparkled. The handsome man warned that their relationship would have to change first. The Duke said that the girl should stop acting as if she was not welcome on this estate. The reborn remembered that while reading, her thoughts and feelings merged with the characters of the novel. The girl realized that Raymond was not such a villain as she was described in the novel. She realized that the villainess just wanted to get out of the estate and become free. The Duchess asked why her husband made her feel unwanted. The handsome man said that when she suggested a divorce, he thought about it. She realized that Cedric was right. Raymond realized that she still couldn't understand how this world worked. The girl realized that she had been too frivolous. The villainess did not want to live with such a carefree husband. The aristocrat sighed heavily and agreed with his words. Raymond said that the divorce would be carried out immediately after he was nominated as a duke. The girl said there was one thing he should think about. The Duke explained that the plaintiff had said he was a negligent husband. Cedric promised to change that. He promised that his wife would experience care that she had never experienced before. The Duke explained that from now on he as a husband would behave more believably. The girl's body suddenly tensed. She tried to understand what the guy was planning. Raymond asked the handsome man not to forget about compensation. The Duke asked how much money she wanted. The villainess said that 1,000,000 episodes would be enough for her. Cold beads of sweat began to run down the girl's face. She realized that she had asked too high a price. The aristocrat understood that she would need a lot of money to survive. Cedric admitted that he had underestimated his wife for a long time. He admitted that the girl was very smart. The reincarnated one assumed that the guy was making fun of her. The Duke offered to give her 1,000,000 as compensation. The girl crossed her arms and offered to sign a contract. The aristocrat was surprised by his wife's words, and he asked whether this was really necessary. Raymond explained that it would be good to write everything down once again. Deep down, the girl did not really trust people at their word. The villainess understood that they both had to try their best to look like a happy couple. The girl realized that Cedric would not get a divorce until he was nominated as a duke. She understood that after her husband received the status, they would be able to file for divorce. Raymond understood that after the divorce, her husband would have to pay compensation. The handsome man hoped that his wife was satisfied. The reborn woman said that it was time for her to return to her room. The girl handed her husband the divorce agreement. She was wondering what she could do with the money. The villain planned to buy land and an estate. Raymond thought about using the money for rent and opening her own store. The girl felt a sharp pain. Scarlet drops of blood came out of her finger. It looked like she had cut herself with paper. Entering her room, the Duchess asked if Jane was there. The villainess could not understand who left a luxurious bouquet of flowers on her table. Jane greeted the lady with joy in her voice. The girl frantically realized that she had to hide the contract. The Duchess could not allow the workers to discover it, and she hurried to hide the paper. Smiling, the lady asked where the bouquet came from. With a radiant smile, the maid said that Rodel had left the flowers while she was in the living room. The man did not know how to thank the lady for saving him. For a few moments, the villainess thought that her husband had decided to give her a gift. The girl realized that this was gratitude for that incident in the restaurant. The reborn one froze for a few moments, looking at the delicate petals. The Duchess had not received such gifts for a long time. Raymond involuntarily remembered her past life. A little boy brought 3 flowers, thanking the doctor. Smiling, the Duchess allowed Jane to rest a little. The girl promised to call the worker if she needed anything. Raymond looked at her hand and realized that the bleeding had stopped. She couldn't believe that it had stopped in such a short time. The events moved to a luxurious garden. The full moon snatched 2 silhouettes from the semi-darkness. The man in the robe greeted the gentleman. The guy noticed that Sylvia was late again. The woman explained that it took longer than she expected. The Duke suggested that the action begin. Sylvia reported that before the gentleman met his wife, he had dined with the Marquis Presso. The handsome man assumed that the man had learned about the rumors from there. The spy explained that Rodel had brought flowers as a gift to the lady. The woman reported that after the meeting with her father, the lady remained in her room. Cedric clarified what his wife had been doing all this time. The assistant reported that Raymond read books until late in the evening. The Duke could not understand why the woman spoke about it so seriously. He asked why the noble lady needed money. Sylvia explained that those who had a lot of money would always feel that it was not enough. The aristocrat clarified what to do if a woman filed for divorce and demanded 1,000,000 tax returns as alimony. Sylvia asked who would so easily give in to such manipulation. The aristocrat admitted that he had agreed to this agreement. The guy made a sharp lunge which made the brunette flinch. The woman asked for forgiveness. Cedric said that the training of knights would begin the next day. The handsome man said that he will spend most of his time on the training ground. The gentleman asked to look after the uninvited guests who visited the mansion. The guy froze for a few moments, wondering what his wife was feeling. A light breeze played with the delicate flower petals. The sun's rays played with bunnies. Raymond enjoyed this beautiful morning. The girl took a small sip of tea. The reincarnated one was able to enjoy the life of an aristocrat. The villainess slammed her hand down on the table in anger. The Duchess felt mortally bored. Black tea spilled over the luxurious tablecloth. She couldn't understand why nothing happened in this novel. Raymond would like to attend a party or a banquet at least once. The maid warned that it would be difficult to leave the mansion in the near future. The villainess's heart sank. The girl realized that she could be stuck in the mansion for several weeks. After reading all the pharmacist's notes, she became bored. The reborn one missed the emergency room terribly. The girl reassured herself that the food at the hotel was tasty if eaten in moderation. Jane reported that the restoration of the bridge was finished. The worker told about the return of the Duke and Duchess. A radiant smile appeared on Raymond's face. The girl was glad to have the opportunity to leave the mansion. The maid assumed that Milady missed her family very much. The reincarnated one reminded herself who she was. The villainess was a little nervous. The girl decided to take a short walk and return to her restroom. She informed the maid about this. She realized that she would have to play the role of the perfect wife again. Raymond was afraid that Alina and Killian would suspect something. The Duchess knew it would be suspicious if their relationship suddenly improved. The villainess knew that in the original, Killian hated her. The reborn one was sure that Alina would be happy with these changes. At times, the Duchess had strange conversations. The girl claimed that the handsome man's wife would be able to change. The old man greeted Milady. The reborn noticed small blisters on his hand. Raymond asked if she could examine his hand. The gardener reported that this happened to him from time to time. The reborn realized that Candler was not the only one with such symptoms. The girl suggested that Candler wear long sleeves and gloves. The gardener explained that his hands would sweat and this would make the work more difficult. The man explained that the gentleman would soon return. Candler wanted to greet them with a well-kept garden. The reborn realized that the aristocrats did not help those who were loyal to them. Raymond assured that the gentleman would be happy. The Duchess said that she had never seen such a well-kept garden in any mansion. The girl realized that there were many people in this world who could not receive proper treatment. She decided to try to do at least something. The butler informed the gentleman that the Duke and Duchess would arrive soon. The handsome man asked where his wife was. The servant reported that after the morning walk, the girl did not leave her room. The aristocrat said that he would soon visit his wife. The worker noticed that the gentleman began to pay more attention to Raymond. The handsome man threw on a luxurious red jacket, which perfectly emphasized his dark hair and cold blue eyes. The boy realized that for the first time in a long time he would see Raymond. The Duke assumed that his wife was very upset because she had to stay in the estate. The guy knocked uncertainly on the door. He informed his wife of his arrival. The handsome man opened the door. Cedric's blue eyes showed confusion. The Duchess was sitting on the floor. There were many umbrellas scattered around the girl. The reborn asked how she should address her husband. The Duke noticed that the girl called him by his affectionate nickname again. The handsome man asked irritably what the girl was doing. Jane asked the lady what she was doing. With a downcast look, the lady explained that she wanted to check if there were any broken umbrellas. The assistant said that it was time for them to leave. The worker smiled and asked to give her some time. The girl promised to fix everything. Jane asked the lady to come to her in future with such matters. And the Duke was shown the door. Afterwards, Cedric became curious about what his wife was actually doing. Cold sweat appeared on the face of the reborn. She assured that she wanted to choose the umbrella that she liked the most. The Duke was used to his wife being very extravagant. The handsome man could not believe that the girl really chose the most beautiful one among a pile of umbrellas. He heard rumors that she was dating another man. Cedric did not expect sincerity from the Duchess. The guy only wanted to preserve his dignity. Raymond reminded him that he had not treated her properly. The villainess reported that the price he paid her for dignity was exhausted by several dresses. The butler looked at the lady with disbelief. He could not believe that she had spent all her money on a dress. The Duke promised his wife to give her as much money as she wanted. The handsome man asked her to be careful next time. The guy explained that Alina couldn't cover for her forever. Raymond said that if he didn't like it, he could find a way to kick her out. The handsome man assumed that his wife really wanted this. The aristocrat was afraid that after drinking the poison, she would leave forever. He noticed a change in his wife's behavior. Breaking the silence, the girl asked if it was possible to buy a smaller umbrella in the store. Hearing a positive answer, a smile appeared on the girl's face. The aristocrat could not believe that Raymond really wanted a new umbrella. The guy said that her parents knew that the girl had lost consciousness. The handsome guy asked not to spread the word. Cedric assured that he would take care of it himself. The reborn seemed to think that her husband was trying to stop her. The girl asked him what he had planned. The husband said that he just didn't want any extra noise. Raymond chuckled that she didn't know he valued his title so much. The guy assumed that she didn't know much about him. He reminded her that he had not known about her greed. Extending his hand, the aristocrat informed the girl that it was time for them to go. Taking his hand, Raymond called him by an affectionate nickname. The handsome man asked his wife with irritation why she called him that. Laughing, the reincarnated one explained that it sounded cute. The villainess said that she could stop it. The couple slowly descended the long stairs. A little embarrassed, Cedric said that she could continue. Smiling, Mom asked Cedric how he was doing. Bowing his head, the Duke said that everything was as usual. He asked how his parents' trip had gone. The man reported that everything went wonderfully. Elena greeted the Duke with a radiant smile. Smiling, the brother informed Cedric that his wife had decided to go with them and had a wonderful time. Cedric asked why his brother was responsible for his wife. The Duchess gently touched the handsome man. Elena said that it would be great if the guy joined their family trip. Raymond was surprised that no one paid attention to her. The reincarnated one remembered that these three were close friends. She decided to leave them. The matchmaker asked Raymond how she was feeling. The woman heard rumors that the girl had lost consciousness. The Duke reported that the food had expired that day. The guy explained that his wife had rested for several days and was feeling much better. The handsome man apologized for the girl making everyone worry. The aristocrat said that he wouldn't worry if he was careful. Elena assumed that the girl was incredibly scared. The Duchess muttered that she was fine. The handsome man reported that he felt incredible relief as soon as he found out that his wife had come to her senses. The reincarnated one noticed his lousy acting. She was surprised that no one noticed. Taking her husband's hand, Raymond thanked him for his concern. Elena suggested that they get together and have some tea. The parents said that they should take a little break. The father recommended that the others spend time together. The reborn realized that in their eyes she was still a villain. The girl felt like she was being treated like a sack of grain. The aristocrat was eager to leave this estate as soon as possible. Cedric asked what was happening to his wife. The girl herself did not notice how she fell to his chest. Raymond could not understand how it happened. The events are transferred to a few minutes ago. Elena suggested to talk about everything that happened during their trip. The villainess knew she would be ignored. The Duchess chose to sit down and remain silent. The girl assured her that nothing bad would happen if Raymond didn't come. She assumed that she still felt awkward. The handsome man assured that his wife was fine. Elena noticed that her relative had not yet come to her senses. The girl began to worry that they were forcing Raymond to go to tea. The Duchess felt awkward in this company. She knew she'd better go and do her own thing. Smiling, the villainess assured her that she had to go. She met her husband's gaze for a few moments. Having lost her balance, Raymond grabbed his shirt. She asked the victim if everything was okay. She realized that Elena had witnessed what had happened. The reincarnated woman reported that she was fine. The Duke assumed that his wife's condition had not yet fully improved. The handsome man was amazed that she went with him. The guy said that his wife had to leave without notifying him about her health. The Duke asked for forgiveness. He promised to join the tea party next time. Cedric said that he had to take care of his beloved. The reincarnated one awkwardly assured that it was an accident. Raymond said that she did not do it on purpose. She assured that her husband is not obliged to accompany her. The handsome man muttered through his teeth that it was written in the contract. The villainess realized that her husband was angry because he couldn't stay with his brother because of her. The guy clearly wanted to see Elena, but she didn't want to fall on purpose. Elena sighed heavily and thought about the girl. Callian told his wife that she poisoned herself. The Duchess assumed that Raymond had no bad intentions. Smiling, the girl remembered that Cedric was kind to the whole family. She reminded that it was just youth. Parents were very happy about it. It is very difficult to worry about family at such a young age. Smiling, the lady assumed that her husband was jealous. Callian was sure that his brother treated Raymond well. The guy noticed that there was a strange atmosphere between the spouses. The Duke assumed that something strange had happened while they were walking. The aristocrat suggested her husband to check the couple in love. The guy became wary and asked what she wanted to do. Elena realized that she would have to work to get along well with the girl in the future. The Duchess reminded her that they were now one family. The villainess put on a luxurious sky blue dress. The girl was happy that she would finally be able to go outside. Her husband suggested that they go together. Raymond did not want to interfere in family affairs. The Duchess understood that now she could calmly go to the city with Jane and have fun. Having got into the carriage, the maid asked where they were going. Raymond became an aristocrat only in name and rank. She understood that she would have to economize. The reborn woman understood that if she had a few $100s, she could immediately get a divorce. She dreamed of withdrawing money in the amount of 1,000 Siri. The Duchess understood that she would have to work with Cedric for some time. The reborn was a little nervous. The girl understood that she had to leave money for expenses for the next month. She was eager to know what the original Raymond had spent all her money on. The lady asked if Jane had wanted to take a walk around town. The girl involuntarily noticed that many ladies were walking under luxurious umbrellas. The Duchess noticed that it was very hot in this area. She asked why Jane didn't use an umbrella. Smiling, the maid reminded her that she was serving a lady. The maid explained that etiquette did not allow it. The Duchess asked the girl to come closer and walk with her under the umbrella. Raymond didn't know that according to etiquette, a maid shouldn't use an umbrella. The girl assured that she felt fine. The worker warned that people might look at them strangely. The lady took a step forward. The girl thoughtfully shared the shadow of her umbrella. Raymond said that the people around could say whatever they wanted. The Duchess was ready to answer. She suggested that the maid walk like that from now on. The reborn one warned that the beautiful face could suffer from direct sunlight. Jane was very embarrassed. The girl thanked him for such a compliment. Raymond took the maid by the hand and led her into the shop. The worker greeted her mistress politely. Nodding towards the maid, the girl said that she wanted to buy something for her. The villainess assumed that the worker had suffered a lot because of her behavior in the past. Raymond knew that her maid was an ordinary orphan. The reborn realized that when she fainted that day, Jane was very sad. The girl said that she wanted to take a beautiful brooch with a cicada. The lady asked Jane to wear this jewelry on an important occasion. The Duchess remembered that her friend had no family or friends. The girl said that she could wear jewelry when they went for a walk. The maid pressed the gift tightly to her chest and thanked him for such generosity. The lady said that they were heading to an umbrella shop. Jane reminded that the villainess had quite a few of them. Entering the shop, the Duchess said she needed a lighter model. The worker handed her a soft pink umbrella. Raymond noted that this model was much lighter. The saleswoman assured that this was the last model that most women used. Smiling, the Duchess asked to give her 3 pieces. Having bought many things, the Duchess decided to return to the estate. A friend suggested that the lady drop in at the perfume shop. The girl reminded that Raymond went there every week. She was shocked that the lady had no intention of going there. The reincarnated one was shocked that the villainess loved to collect perfume. Smiling at the girl, she agreed to go into that shop. The maid assured that you would wait for the mistress in the carriage. Jane, slightly taken aback, asked why the lady kept asking her about this. The reborn wondered what exactly they were selling in the shop. Entering the perfume shop, the girl did not notice anything unusual. Bowing, the guy greeted the lady. He admitted that he had been waiting for her since last week. The reborn told Luther that she had been unable to leave the mansion due to the bridge being reconstructed. The girl realized that the villain had crossed paths with this guy more than once. The worker reported that the perfume she ordered had arrived. Raymond guessed that the shop sold more than just perfume. She followed Luther, trying not to show her excitement. They descended a long spiral staircase, the small steps illuminated only by the dim light of a candle. Smiling, the guy presented the goods that were made to her order. Luther told about the contents of each bottle. The reborn realized that Raymond was actively involved in medicines. The girl suspected something was wrong. She was sure that the medicine could be bought in regular pharmacies. The lady asked if she could buy it in a regular pharmacy. Raymond noticed his puzzled expression. Luther thought it was quite a funny joke. The worker reminded that these medicines are almost impossible to obtain in their kingdom. The guy assumed that the lady was confused by the price. He said that for others he would sell this set for 200 episodes. The pharmacist agreed to lower the price to 160 siri. The reborn understood that the cost price was much lower. The perfumer reported that the managers had a hard time getting these drugs. Luther warned that it would be difficult to negotiate a bigger discount. The reborn realized that the villainess spent all her money on medicine. The Duchess wondered who the owner was. Raymond asked if she could look at the list of medicines she had bought before. The worker's face showed confusion. Luther quickly handed her a small notebook. The Duchess noticed that the prices started at 5,000. The girl remembered that there was not a single medicine in the secret room. The customer asked if there was anything for the rash. Luther grinned and said that there was a remedy for 100 siri. The guy assured that this was a special offer for Milady. Having slammed the book shut, Raymond said that she was ready to buy it for full price. The girl asked to record the regular price in the journal and inform the owner as reduced. The lady asked the worker to keep the difference. The reincarnated woman asked to name the owner. Luther said that he could not say it. Cold sweat appeared on the young man's face. The worker reported that he had not held a meeting. The Duchess crossed her arms and suggested that she would have to find another supplier. Turning away, the girl said that she could not work with someone she did not know. Raymond understood that after this manipulation, the worker was obliged to give her a name. Luther asked not to tell anyone about this. The guy asked the customer to come a little closer. The worker muttered that the owner was Duke Haribo. The reincarnated realized that she had never heard of this man. Gertzak Haribo did not play a significant role in the novel. Raymond assured that the employee did not have to worry. The girl asked to pack the medicine so that no one would see anything. The seller obediently agreed. Returning home, the lady asked Jane to bring food to the room. The Duchess assured that she was very tired. She asked that no one enter her room. Looking at the packages, the reborn realized that no one would bother her now. Raymond thought she had forgotten something. With a radiant smile, Alina noticed that time had flown by rather quickly. The girl admitted that she had not known that Miss Calips had such a hobby. The Duchess beamed with joy. Cedric assumed that his wife had already returned. The events are brought to a sunny morning a few hours ago. The handsome man reminded that Raymond must cope with the role of his wife. The boy explained that the Count had invited their family. The Duke explained that if the wife did not come again, rumors could spread. The villainess realized that in this case she would not be able to buy materials for the umbrella. She announced her plans for that day. The girls suggested meeting after the party. Raymond asked to say that due to unavoidable circumstances they could not go together. The reborn assured that she would wait for her beloved husband. Cedric admitted that it was a great plan. The guy suggested meeting in the evening. The handsome man walked aloofly next to his brother. The Duke Pomraknev realized that his wife had not come to meet him. Alina asked the guy what had happened. The aristocrat assumed that the girl had gotten tired of waiting for him and had fallen asleep. Cedric assured him that Raymond had promised to meet him. Smiling, Kalian advised his brother not to wait for his to her husband immediately after arriving. Alina snapped at the guy. The Duke said that he was only telling the truth. Cedric realized that there had been many occasions when he had gone to meetings alone. Many had discussed Lord Rogers going without his wife. The aristocrats were sure that the Lord would be unable to do anything against Raymond. The girl was the daughter of the best swordsman in the Empire. The handsome man understood why they didn't look like a loving couple to others. The guy hoped that he could change people's opinions. The Duke admitted that he had been thinking about it for a long time. The handsome man said that his wife had always been in his heart. The Duke realized this too late. The guy explained that if he kept it only in his heart, it would be useless. He was sure that his wife felt the same way. Cedric said that thanks to his wife he was able to return home quickly. The guests even felt a bit awkward. The guy's monologue was interrupted by someone's footsteps. The butler greeted the gentleman. The boy quietly reported the incident. Cedric told his brother that he had urgent business. The boy assured that he had to go first. The Duke was the second son of the Rogers family. He was the favorite of many noble girls. Cedric was a famous knight at the imperial court. Everyone respected him. On this day, the boy had to leave his friends for the first time. The Duke asked why his wife had asked not to let anyone into her room. The guy realized that Raymond had lied to him again. The worker reported that Jane had told him the same thing. The gentleman reported that the boy could return to his room. Cedric tried to calm down that his wife had simply forgotten about the promise. The guy assumed that this was part of her plan. The handsome man decided to wait a little longer. The Duke grabbed his head thinking about what was happening. Jane informed the gentleman that Raymond was unwell. The gentleman cautiously clarified that his wife was indeed ill. Smiling, the maid explained that the mistress had gone outside and was ill again. Cedric realized that he had not heard anything from his wife for a long time. The knights noticed that the captain was in a bad mood. The guy reported that Haz's condition had worsened recently. The girl begged the captain for mercy. The knight's face was bruised. Tears were streaming from her eyes. The Duke praised her for her good work. Cedric suggested that they take a little rest. The guy remembered that Raymond usually did not sit still. He couldn't understand why he had started worrying about it. The captain realized that he had been focusing on it too much lately. The guy trained to the point of exhaustion. The handsome man's head cleared up a little. The Duke heard someone addressing the lady. Cedric realized that only his wife was called lady. Raymond asked the man to wait a bit. She put an unusual hat that looked like an umbrella on his head. The girl said she did this while looking for a way to move around without being exposed to the sun. The gardener thanked the lady. The reborn realized that this was a copy of the hat that her grandmother wore when she worked in the fields. The lady said that she did it especially for him. The girl reminded him how much time he spent on taking care of the garden. Raymond held out a small bag of similar hats. She asked that they be distributed to other gardeners. Candler thanked the lady with a radiant smile. The girl would buy anything to help the man. Smiling, the Duchess said that she had a special medicine for her grandfather. The gardener lowered his eyes and said that he could not take it. Cedric hovered over his wife and said that he had been looking for her all this time. The girl shuddered and froze. The villainess asked her lover what he was doing in the garden. The husband said that they needed to talk. Raymond smiled brightly and said goodbye to Candler. She asked him to apply the medicine to the damaged areas of the skin. He promised to deliver the hats to the others. The Duchess could not understand why Cedric was angry with her. The guy assured that there was no one around. The Duke asked his wife to tell him what was going on. The aristocrat asked what she had in mind. The handsome man roughly took her by the shoulders and looked into her deep amethyst eyes. Cedric assumed that the girl was avoiding him, and also broke her promise. The villainess was at first even confused, trying to remember. And then she realized that she had completely forgotten about the promise. The events moved to the previous evening. The Duchess was delighted with the finished product. She realized that now Grandpa would be able to work without worrying about his eczema. Responsibility for the palace rested with the Duchess of Rogers. This seemed odd given that the Duchess was leaving the estate. The girl thought that everything was built so that an inexperienced lady would manage the estate. The aristocrat understood that Alina would be assigned the role of hostess. The villainess knew what kind of relationship there was between the Duke and Alina. The girl was the only daughter of the Gerald family. The aristocrats were sure that the little girl had a bright future. But misfortune knocked on the door. After participating in the war, Duke Gerald did not return. Alina's mother died of chronic illness. The Duchess was only 10 years old when she was left alone. Relatives took everything from the little girl. The Rogers Duchy became Alina's salvation. The Dukes accepted Alina as their own daughter. After that, the girl is indirectly connected to the novel. Alina was the closest to becoming the next owner of the estate. The Duchess understood that her husband was eager to become the heir. The girl had no intention of remaining idle. The villainess decided to be useful for the duration of the contract. Raymond realized that she had forgotten something important. Seeing her husband's expression, a small shiver ran through her body. The girl decided to correct this misunderstanding. The Duchess reported that in fact it was very difficult for her. The villainess was sure that her husband was eager to become the head of the family. She explained that she had to help by showing her best qualities. The girl said that this was the reason she made umbrellas for the servants. Raymond apologized for breaking her promise. The villainess silently prayed that it would work. The girl looked confidently into the handsome man's sky-blue eyes. Cedric asked his wife not to forget to prepare for an important meeting. The Duchess decided to pretend that she understood everything. Breaking into a scream, the reborn asked again. Smiling, Jane reminded that this happens once a month. The reincarnated one pretended to remember everything. The girl realized that the original novel had written about it. Raymond reassured herself that her husband would not go beyond what was permitted. The maid offered Milady a seat. The worker said that she had to fix her mistress's makeup. Jane said that they brought herbal extracts. The girl said that they managed to find them with great difficulty. This product helped to give birth to a healthy child. The worker promised that the makeup would give vitality. The woman said that the man Karen brought was known for his gentle nature. The woman was glad that Alina had a good friend. Smiling, the beauty said that she would like to have friends her own age. The Duchess said that Ryman always seemed busy. Alina assumed that the girl felt awkward because of her status. She assumed that the aristocrat felt uncomfortable. The Duchess admitted that she never had a good relationship with Raymond. The mother-in-law assured that if the girl showed herself to be a reliable housewife, then Raymond would feel comfortable. The gardener bowed politely upon seeing the gentleman. The girl asked what kind of strange hat that was. Kender said that the headdress was given to him by the lady. The gardener said that the hat was made for protection from the sun. The Duchess thought it looked quite funny. The girl understood why Raymond had locked herself in the room. Alina admitted that the hat looked pretty cute. The man said that he could take off the headdress if the lady didn't like it. Smiling, the Duchess said that she was pleased that she cared about the servants. That's why she asked not to take off this hat. The maid announced the arrival of Milady. The handsome man was sitting comfortably on the sofa. Luxurious abs were visible from under his dressing gown. The boy was clutching a glass of red wine tightly in his hands. Raymond thought she should have picked up a book. The husband assured her that she could relax. The Duchess said that she would also like to drink some wine. The aristocrat remembered that his wife did not usually drink this drink. The guy poured some of the intoxicating drink into a glass. The villainess tasted such a delicious wine for the first time. Cedric said that this drink was unique. The guy explained that it was prepared according to a unique recipe of their family. The Duke said that deliveries were also made to the imperial palace. The reincarnated one thought soju and beer were delicious. The villainess held out her glass with delight and asked for more. Cedric noticed that his wife quickly got drunk. The girl asked the handsome man not to worry. She offered him another drink. The Duke realized that he was feeling a little dizzy. The villainess asked if her husband regretted this marriage. The guy looked at her in surprise and said that regret didn't change anything. The villainess suddenly hit him on the chest with her fists. The drunk lady explained that he should have said something about his dissatisfaction. Raymond explained that he shouldn't keep his emotions to himself. The handsome man assumed that the girl greatly regretted marrying him. The Duke never thought that life in the palace would be so difficult for the girl. He couldn't help but recall Alina's words. The Duchess said that the guy's fiancé was from another country. She assured him that she would feel lonely too. The handsome man realized that the girl was right. Cedric asked if his wife regretted their marriage. The villainess said that she did not know whether she regretted it or not. The Duke found this behavior a little strange. The guy said that she would like to go to bed quickly. Raymond said that if she had more money, she could act more decisively. The reborn remembered that she had made a promise to the dying woman. She was very sorry that she had made a promise that she could not keep. Raymond reminded that she said that he would never understand a person no matter what happened to him. The guy was puzzled by these words. The Duke asked how the noble lady spent her time if she had no money. Cedric knew that the Duke never limited his children in money. Everyone discussed how wealthy his children grew up. The reborn asked the handsome man to lean towards her. The wife asked if he had ever kissed Cedric. The guy closed his eyes, preparing for the inevitable kiss. A few moments later, the handsome man saw that the girl had fallen asleep right on his chest. The handsome man tried to wake the girl up. He called her name, but she was very drunk. The Duchess opened her eyes and felt an unbearable headache. Raymond tried to remember what happened last night. Jumping out of bed, she realized that she had slept with a guy in the same room. Cedric saw that his wife had woken up and handed her a glass of water. The girl was amazed that the handsome man knew that she was thirsty. She greedily drank a glass of water. These were typical symptoms of a hangover. The Duke asked his wife to make him a promise. The boy asked Raymond to drink only with him. The reborn assumed she had made a mistake the night before. The whole family was sitting at one table. The Duke announced that Haribo had invited them to his birthday party. Cedric reported that Princess Haribo was celebrating that day. Alina reported that Lady Lucia was still ill. The woman said that the Duke's wife suffered from the same disease. The Duchess said that the heir of the Haribo family was responsible for the business. The man could only take care of his daughter. The younger son said that he had recently returned from abroad. The girl involuntarily recalled the words of the seller. Alina said that Lady Karen invited her to tea. The handsome man assumed that his brother would have to go to the celebration alone. Callian knew that his brother did not like Benz. The Duke reminded his brother that etiquette still had to be observed. Raymond saw irritation on her husband's face. The villainess said that she would go to the party with her husband. The girl said that she was part of the family and wanted to help her lover. The reincarnated one could not miss the opportunity to personally meet Duke Haribo. Alina asked to pass on the gift. The girl assured that she could give it on her behalf. The Duchess was already preparing for a trip to the city for the gift. The handsome man asked his wife to stay away from Benz. Raymond looked at the guy with distrust. The aristocrat reported that the Duke treated people according to their worth. Laughing, the reborn assumed that he was worried about her. Raymond frantically assumed that something happened yesterday that she did not remember. With a heavy sigh, the husband admitted that he was really worried about her. The handsome man reminded that this was the first time they went to an official banquet together. Cedric asked not to go far from him. The girl assumed that he was afraid that she would start to riot. The villainess assured that she would play the role of his wife perfectly. Alina asked the maid if she had given it as a gift. Smiling, the worker conveyed her gratitude. The Duchess hoped that Lucia would like this gift. Alina mockingly reminded that the gift would be on behalf of her rival. The butler noticed that Cedric had been in a bad mood lately. The guy assumed that the incident that happened a few days ago was to blame. The small boat slowly approached the pier. The Duke incredulously asked if the Count had really said that. The girl couldn't believe that they had already finished the boat ride. She hadn't noticed it while reading the book. Raymond said she would go down first. The Duchess didn't want to interrupt the family's cheerful chat. She tried to get out of the boat, but her foot slipped. Panic was visible in her amethyst eyes. The villainess lost her balance and fell into the water. Cedric, without wasting a second, jumped into the water. The girl slowly sank to the bottom. The book that was in her hands opened. The villainess realized with a start that her dress was too heavy. The aristocrat emerged from the water with difficulty. Cedric held the girl tightly to himself. The butler asked the gentleman if everything was all right. With heavy breathing, Cedric reported that he was perfectly fine. With fear in her eyes, the Duchess reported that she thought she had died. The worker realized that the same thing had happened with the poisoning case. The guy noticed that the gentleman began to spend time with Raymond often. He was sure that something had happened between the gentlemen. The guy stood up abruptly from his seat and told Robert that he was going to the training ground. The guy shuddered when the gentleman tore him away from his thoughts. The butler asked if the gentleman really wanted to do this now. The handsome Pomraknev asked if there were any problems with this. Cedric ordered the training clothes to be prepared immediately. The Duke sighed heavily, resting his head on his hand. He couldn't understand why he and Raymond had only a contractual relationship. The villainess never interfered in her husband's affairs. The guy involuntarily remembered the face of his beloved. The handsome man hoped that if he started training, he would stop thinking about it. The events moved to the day of the princess's birthday celebration at the Haribo Palace. Raymond extended her hand and thanked her husband. The girl took the handsome man by the hand and looked at the many luxurious flowers. The Duchess drew the guy's attention to the diversity and beauty of the plants. The aristocrat said that the Haribo family was involved in the flower business. The handsome man explained that some of the seeds were transported to the capital. The girl understood why the Duke obtained herbs so easily. The reincarnated one assumed that he went abroad under the pretext of business. The butler bowed to greet the Dukes of Rogers. The reborn looked at the banquet hall with admiration. Everyone looked at the new arrivals with some kind of disdain. Raymond shuddered and felt unkind glances on herself. The nobles began to whisper. The girl was amazed that the rumors were spreading so quickly. The Duchess told the handsome man that everyone was staring at them. The aristocrat asked his beloved to be patient. He assured her that Duke Haribo would soon appear with the princess. The guy asked his beloved not to forget to give him a gift. Raymond was curious about what illness the princess suffered from. The girl realized that this banquet was too luxurious. The Duke thanked his daughter every year for her survival. The Duke said that since childhood the princess had been prone to fainting. The chronic disease began to progress when the little girl was 4. Then the party ended because the birthday girl fainted. The reborn realized that Lucia had orthostatic hypertension or hypoglycemic shock. Cedric suggested greeting the Duke first. Pressing his hand, his wife reminded him that they should be the perfect couple. The guy assured that it would be better this way. Raymond noticed that the relationship with her husband had become much better. The aristocrat greeted Duchess Roger with a smile. Mugford noted that it was the first time she had seen the couple at the party. The lady said she was very pleased to meet you. Mugford said she wanted to speak to the Duke's wife. The noble lady reported that other ladies were also waiting to meet the Countess. Looking at the handsome Mugford, she asked if he was against it. The reborn stood in complete confusion. The Duchess waited for some sign from her husband. Seeing the confusion in her eyes, Cedric spoke. He assured that there was nothing terrible about it. The aristocrat allowed his wife to leave for a short time. Putting a fake smile on her face, the reborn one said that she was looking forward to the dialogue. Macford introduced the newly arrived lady. The aristocrats asked if Alina would be coming that day. The girl said that Alina had some business. The Duchess said that the girl would not be able to come. The villainess felt uncomfortable. The brunette admitted that she had accumulated quite a few questions for Alina. The aristocrat assumed that Raymond did not know so much about it. The blonde assured that prejudices about wives who constantly spend their husband's money and lead a dissolute lifestyle are long in the past. Mugford said that they should appreciate the values of another culture. The Duchess was wary. The girl realized that these words did not sound like a compliment. The lady asked Raymond how things were with her husband. Mugford said she was surprised to learn that she had arrived with a handsome man. Putting on a fake smile, the reincarnated woman assured that they had a wonderful relationship. The girl could not understand where the rumors were coming from. The lady smiled and said that she had heard completely different information. Macford was sure that the Duchess suffered from her husband's bad attitude. The girl assumed that Raymond had to hurt himself to get him to pay attention to her. The Duchess understood why this conversation caused a feeling of déjà vu. Previously, one of the doctors treated the girl like this. Colleagues pretended to treat her well. In reality, these people despised her. Because of this, the girl was unable to establish connections with many important people. The doctor had to do the work that others called for her. The brunette assumed that Madame Rogers did not know the answers to questions related to the duchy. The girl interpreted each of the phrases said. The reborn understood that this attitude was due to the fact that she was born in another kingdom. Raymond did not know the local laws very well. The villainess tried to calm down. She promised herself to live this life the way she wanted. The Duchess grinned and assured him that her body was severely weakened by her unhealthy lifestyle. Raymond noted that poisoning had nothing to do with it. The blonde was sure that the handsome man did not want to take his wife with him. Laughing, the girl reminded him that the Duchess had attracted too much attention last year. Covering her face with her hand, the villainess assured that the guy was very jealous. Raymond said that if another man looked at her, Cedric would get angry. The girl reported that her husband loved her madly. The expressions on the faces of the noble ladies changed dramatically. The foreigner reported that she was very worried about her husband's honor. Raymond asked not to tell this. The girl said that if Cedric found out about this, the ladies would fall out of favor with him. Macford asked the Duchess what she meant. Cold sweat began to roll down the aristocrat's face. Smiling, the reborn assumed that they were just gossiping. Laughing, the blonde assured that it was obvious that the Duke loved the girl. The handsome man froze for a few moments. The Duke wanted to know what they were talking about with his wife. Edward asked the guy if he was looking for someone. Shayton noticed that Rogers had arrived at the Haribo Palace. The guy sarcastically said that this was a rare occurrence. The commander asked the Viscount to be careful with his words. The Viscount reminded them that they had not gotten along during their college years. The boy took a few steps back when he felt Cedric's gaze. The Duke informed him that he needed to step away for a while. The boy asked why the aristocrat had mentioned Duke Haribo. The Dukes could hardly be called feuding. Cedric and Ben were two outstanding students. The boys became rivals in every way. Student life was full of hidden tension. The professor noticed that the students had chosen the same topic for their dissertation. The man said that it would be better if someone changed the topic. Ben suggested that if he chose another topic, he would be able to write it perfectly. The professor asked why the Duke continued to write the same topic. The man reminded that Ben's was going to replace her. The young man assured that the objective content of his dissertation was better. Cedric tried to catch up with his rival and offered to talk. The brunette asked his classmate to stop. Haribo muttered that they had nothing to talk about. The handsome guy knew they were rivals. The guy assured him that Ben's was exaggerating. The blonde said that he was an idiot without goals. Duke Haribo muttered that he would never deserve the title of his rival. Benz asked the boy not to talk to him anymore. The handsome man could not contain his rage. With one light movement of his hand, the aristocrat knocked the Duke to the floor. Cedric pressed his opponent firmly to the floor. Cold beads of sweat appeared on the young genius's face. The blonde begged to let him go. Cedric was punished for his rude behavior. The Duke's relationship with Benz was completely destroyed. Since then, the handsome man tried his best to avoid his rival. After all, he didn't want to meet him anymore. Duke Haribo greeted the beautiful lady. The Obu made eye contact. The guy handed Ryman a handkerchief. Benz reported that the girl had dropped the small change. Our heroine was surprised when this happened. She expressed her gratitude with restraint. The Duchess guessed that there was something in the handkerchief. The girl carefully unfolded the piece of fabric. Haribo said in that note that he was waiting for her on the balcony. The reincarnated woman's heart fluttered. She couldn't remember such a moment in the original. Cedric suspected something was wrong. The rival did not care about anyone except the Duchess of Haribo. The aristocrat hoped that the blonde would not try to do anything strange. The guy realized that he had to make sure that his wife would not cross paths with the man again. Cedric decided to carefully and discreetly follow the girl. Benz was standing on the balcony. The guy was clutching a glass of fine wine tightly in his hands. There was a barely noticeable smile on his face. The pharmacist said that it was a great honor for him to meet the Duchess of Rogers. The girl approached the aristocrat hesitantly. Duke Haribo noticed that she was nervous. He laughed and assured her that this was not a blind date. Benz assumed that the girl was looking for a meeting with him. The villainess was furious that Luther told the gentleman everything. The owner of the estate asked if the girl was looking for him for something specific. The Duchess felt a piercing gaze on her. The girl realized she was being followed. Raymond said the balcony was not a good place to talk. The aristocrat grinned and promised to write a letter. The guy promised to invite her to his palace. The pharmacist bowed politely. Raymond headed for the exit. The girl suddenly bumped into her husband. The guest asked irritably why the Duke was hiding in this place. Ben said that he needed to tell his rival's wife something. Having apologized, he stated that he needed to tell his wife something. Smiling, the gentleman asked the Duchess if he was right. Raymond couldn't believe that the guy had dumped everything on her. The handsome guy asked her to forget about it. The Duke suggested his wife to leave this place. With hope, the reborn asked if the guy could wait a little. Without hiding his irritation, the aristocrat promised to discuss it at home. The villainess did not know how to justify herself. Raymond wanted to keep her passion for medicine a secret. The guests looked at Lucia with admiration. The aristocrats greeted the princess. The Duke thanked everyone for coming to celebrate Lucia's birthday. The man hoped that the guests enjoyed the celebration. Soon, many couples in love were whirling in gentle dances to slow music. The girl suggested that Cedric go home. The handsome man stopped his wife. The Duke reminded them that they should look like a perfect couple. He asked if Raymond could dance. The guy extended his hand to her. The reborn began to worry. She had never danced before. The Duke asked his beloved to follow him. The girl noticed that her husband had been acting strangely lately. Previously, the handsome man did not particularly like to pretend to be a loving husband. The Duchess boldly assumed that Cedric liked it. The guy promised to hire a dance teacher for his wife. He looked at his fancy shoes. Suddenly, the slow music was interrupted by a deafening scream. Benz fell to his knees next to his sister. The Duke begged the girl to wake up. With tears in her eyes, the little girl stood up. A few moments later, the banquet hall was silent. Having risen from the floor, the birthday girl assured that everything was fine. But her body was shaking. The brother held the beauty. The reborn couldn't stand aside and watch this. Raymond asked her husband to wait a little. The girl's gaze darted around the room. She was looking for something that would resemble a paper bag. The medic's gaze fell on the gift boxes. Grabbing one of the boxes, the reborn asked the guy to step aside. The villainess asked the Duke not to hug the birthday girl. The girl explained that he was strangling the baby. Ruby's eyes narrowed in fear and bewilderment. Benz asked the girl what she was talking about. The birthday girl only shuddered from time to time. The pharmacist assumed that the Duchess had gone crazy. The guy asked why she did it. Raymond asked the Duke to trust her. The reborn promised to help Lucia. The girl promised that the baby would not suffer anymore. With distrust, the owner agreed and let his sister go. Raymond made a device out of wrapping paper and placed it on the baby's face. The guest asked the princess to breathe slowly and calmly. The baby's body was shaking and tears were coming out of her eyes. Raymond noticed that the victim was gradually coming back to normal. The reincarnated one assumed that the princess was hyperventilating. The girl could not determine the illness just by looking. The Duchess knew she had to find the root cause. Raymond asked the princess if she was feeling better. Benz gently adjusted his sister's hair. The Duke asked the little girl to look at him. The girl asked him to take the birthday girl to the room and take off the corset. The aristocrat felt many eyes on her. She realized that the guests had been watching her actions all this time. Cedric asked his wife what she was doing. Looking down, the girl assumed that she had shocked him greatly. The Duke reported that thanks to his wife, the princess had regained her breath. The guy admitted that he was very surprised. The rival grinned and said that thanks to Raymond, Lucia's breathing had stabilized. The aristocrat said that he had to leave the guests. Benz promised to thank Milady next time. Raymond noticed that her husband's expression changed dramatically. Smiling, the Duchess assured that she had done her duty. The reborn understood that she had only given the baby first aid, but had not cured her. The guy led his sister away, promising to greet the guests next time. Smiling, Lucia thanked Madame. The aristocrats were discussing the situation that had happened. One of the girls asked where Madame Roger had learned this. The woman was amazed that in an instant the princess came to her senses. Raymond realized that she had earned a good reputation. The girl doubted that it was good to attract attention to herself in such a way. The Duchess assumed that she herself was inclined to the noose. The handsome man told his wife that it was time for them to return home. Raymond was very happy to hear this. The guy admitted that he learned something new about the girl that day. The villainess shared that she sometimes looked after sick people. The reborn woman recalled how she saved the servant's life. Cedric sighed heavily and said that it was reckless. The husband asked the girl to be more careful. The heroine was shocked that he wanted her to stop helping in order to preserve the dignity of a noble lady. The handsome man said that he didn't mean it that way. The guy reminded that Rodel was an ordinary servant. Cedric assured that if something happened to the man, it could be written off as an accident. The Duke warned that if the princess became ill in front of everyone, it could end badly. The guy said that because of this, he wanted Raymond to act more carefully. The reborn realized that her partner did not know about her knowledge in medicine. The wife boldly assumed that the Duke was caring for her. The girl assumed that he was saying this to avoid problems. The handsome man snorted that he was really worried about it. The reincarnated one's eyes sparkled. She decided to take a little break. The girl carefully examined the landscapes outside the window. Raymond did not expect the Duke to be so sincere. The carriage suddenly hit a bump. The handsome man fell on the Duchess. The husband asked me if she was hurt. The butler reported that the coachman had a head injury. The reborn thought that this day would never end. The girl abruptly opened the carriage door. Raymond assured that there was no one around. She was sure that there would be no strange discussions. Cedric asked his wife not to do anything stupid. Smiling, the reborn one promised to return soon. The girl carefully covered the man's head with a snow-white napkin. The reborn realized that the victim did not have a brain hemorrhage. Raymond began to worry because the bleeding did not stop. The lady asked the coachman to count from 1 to 300. The aristocrat's hands and dress were covered in bloodstains. The girl explained that she would have to press on the wound. With tears in his eyes, the worker asked for forgiveness. Raymond ordered the countdown to begin. The reborn was disappointed that she could not stitch the wound. She knew she might look crazy if she asked for a sewing kit. The man obediently began counting down. The girl screamed and pulled her hand away. After examining her palm, the Duchess realized that she was completely normal. She felt a sharp heat in her hand. After getting out of the carriage, the handsome man asked his wife what had happened. The girl asked Kane to continue counting. She reminded him what number the coachman had stopped at. The reborn thought that the bleeding had begun to stop. Raymond felt an incredible sense of relief. She knew that there was nothing more she could do to help the man. Cedric reported that the carriage had broken down. The boy suggested that they split up and return to the estate on horseback. The butler agreed to return to the estate with Kane. The handsome man offered his beloved help. Raymond was surprised that her husband called her by an affectionate nickname. The guy reminded her that she also called him that. The villainess hesitantly gave her hand to Cedric. The reborn sat on a horse for the first time. She felt incredible discomfort. The husband said that he could sit behind. The handsome man easily jumped on the horse and took hold of the reins. Raymond felt her heart pounding in her chest. She knew that this was a common occurrence in novels. The Duchess was very afraid of dying. The handsome man said that they had already arrived. The guy realized that his beloved had fallen asleep during the trip. Cedric didn't want to wake her. The Duke easily picked up his wife in his arms and headed to the estate. Alina asked if everything was okay with the girl. The Duchess suggested that Raymond was injured. Cedric asked not to worry. The guy assured that the blood did not belong to his wife. The reborn muttered something in her sleep. The Duke promised to tell everything a little later. Cedric said that they needed some rest. The girl asked for forgiveness with excitement. Alina shared that she had recently returned from Lady Claren. The Duchess admitted that she was glad when he returned. The handsome man coldly explained that the coachman had been injured. The guy said that Raymond had to treat his wound. He asked Alina not to worry about anything and to rest a little. The girl was left standing alone. She couldn't understand why Cedric was so cold to her. Alina understood that they should be a family. The reborn opened her eyes. The girl was lying in a room that was flooded with moonlight. Raymond assumed that her husband had brought her to this place. The Duchess looked and couldn't understand why she was wearing such expensive clothes. Jane abruptly opened the door. The maid admitted that she was scared when she saw the bloody dress. The worker assured that she changed Raymond's clothes while she was sleeping. The reincarnated one was very embarrassed that she had not guessed about this earlier. Jane asked the lady not to worry. The worker promised to remove all the bloodstains from the clothes. The maid carefully covered the girl with a blanket. Smiling, Raymond advised the girl to rest as well. The girl felt that the maid had seen too much in this life. The Duchess closed her eyes tiredly. This day had been too eventful. Raymond realized that the late Duchess of Haribo had the same disease as Lady Lucy. The girl wanted to know what she felt when she touched the coachman. The reborn thought, what Raymond did before she moved to this estate. The reborn couldn't understand why the plot was so different from the original novel. The butler apologized for the late visit. The man said he wanted to know how Kane was feeling. The worker asked if the coachman was really injured. The butler reported that when he examined the man, he did not find anything. Cedric asked that no one should know about what had happened. Bowing, the worker wished the milord a good evening. The boy told Roberto that he needed to send an urgent letter. The Duke explained that he had to deliver it in person to receive it. Alina assumed that this had scared Cedric a lot. The guy assured her that everything was fine. The villainess felt like she was the odd one out. Raymond was a little jealous that the family treated each other so well. Reborn was wondering whether Cedric would continue to love Alina after the divorce. The girls were getting a little uneasy. The woman said she had heard about the incident yesterday. The matchmaker said that as a token of gratitude, Lucia had sent the girls invitations to tea. The embarrassed Reborn assured that it was necessary together at the right time. The Duchess assured that the girl did not necessarily have to invite her to tea. The aristocrat said that Raymond's actions brought honor to their house. The matchmaker said that she was proud that she was part of their family. Alina asked if the birthday girl had given her gift. Initially, the princess was supposed to open each of the gifts and thank the guests. This did not happen because the little girl fainted. Raymond said she was unable to see the girl open the gift. The Duchess asked if she should ask about it. The beauty said that such a gesture would be very nice. The husband said that he had a meeting planned for the next day, and he suggested that the girl take Alina as an escort. The reborn thought for a few moments. She understood that such company would not suit her. Smiling, the Duchess assured that she herself would be able to visit the Haribo estate. Raymond asked how Kane was feeling. Looking away, the girl admitted that she was worried about the coachman. The matchmaker noticed that the girl had been saving more and more lives lately. The reincarnated one assured that she had done nothing special. Raymond sat with her maid in the carriage. The maid couldn't believe that they were invited to the Haribo estate. The reborn realized that Jane hadn't changed at all. The girl noticed that the worker still had the pin in her pocket. She suggested trying on the jewelry. The worker said she tried on the jewelry when no one was there. She doubted that the jewelry would suit her. Raymond knew that the maid dressed quite simply. The girl was sure that the maid liked to dress up from time to time. The aristocrat realized that it was worth giving Jane small gifts more often. Smiling, the maid reported that she felt even more confident when she served her ladyship. The reborn assured that she did not need any recognition. Jane admitted to her friend that she had always admired knights. The girl said that when the lady handed her the hairpin, she felt like a knight. The maid looked away and admitted that it made her a little happier. Raymond realized that this was the first time the worker had spoken of herself in such a light. The lady suggested calling the girl his personal knight. Smiling, the worker said that she would get into trouble if the gentleman heard this. Raymond assured that these words would remain a secret between them. The girl said that the hairpin would be a sign of their connection. Jane asked in a voice trembling with excitement what kind of knight she would be. The mistress suggested that she be called the Knight of Washing. The knight's commander-in-chief reported that he had received a letter from Cedric. He asked how the matter was progressing. Luther said that he had checked everything, but he suggested going into his personal office. The boy said that everything was calm and safe for the Knights of the Royal Guard. Luther said that it was thanks to Duke Calypso. The handsome man asked his friend to watch his words. Cedric reminded him that the Duke was his wife's father. The guy reminded him that there was no one around. The captain assured that Duke Calypso should not be trusted. He asked the aristocrat how he got along with his wife. Cedric assured that his relationship with his wife was wonderful. The guy admitted that not a day passed when he was bored. Luther looked at his colleague in surprise. It was the first time the knight had heard him say such a thing about a woman. The captain said that this information was classified. The guy explained that this happened several decades ago. He said that there was no documented information about this incident, and the participants remained silent. The Duke remembered that the family had been sentenced to death by the previous king. There was even a reward for their heads. The boy remembered that that family had the power to heal people, but now there were only rumors about them. Luther admitted that he was a little disappointed. The Myerses healed people without asking for anything in return. The guy knew that this family saved thousands of people from death. The captain lowered his eyes and said that there was a reason why the king had decided to execute them. The Duke asked why they would kill people who could help the country. Luther began to speak a little more quietly. The captain explained that the Myerses were much more powerful on the battlefield than ordinary people. The Myerses were part of a fantasy nation. The boy asked his companion to imagine what would happen if after killing the soldiers he could take revenge. The king was afraid that the enemy army would have many such healers. It was because of this that the ruler decided to get rid of them. The ruler was under pressure from other countries. Cedric reminded that the Myers were able to heal even the most complex wounds. The question arose as to how they were destroyed. It turned out that someone had found out about their weak spot. The knight said that for healers, it was water. Luther said that all the people of this family were drowned. Neither poison nor knife wounds affected the Myerses. The commander asked why the Duke had come. The guy explained that he had recently received a letter that they were now required to report any person with healing magic. Luther was a little taken aback when he reported that the Royal Guard had heard nothing about this. The commander assumed that the Myers family had not been completely slaughtered. The guy grinned and assured that this was a great opportunity to earn more merit. Cedric hissed that his friend should watch his language. The commander stretched and asked to be informed about such people. Luther admitted that he would not mind climbing the career ladder. The guy suggested that the Duke would be given an honorary title if he caught at least one. The aristocrat stood up from his seat. The handsome man hoped that his friend would pretend that this conversation had never happened. Luther asked the Duke to send his regards to his wife. He replied that it was only in his dreams. Raymond sat in the living room waiting for the princess. The girl noticed a huge number of different flowers. She noticed fresh sprouts in pots. The Duchess was a little taken aback when she saw the guy. Ben said that he noticed that the girl's husband cared a lot about her. The pharmacist admitted that he would like to continue their dialogue. The Duchess recalled that her husband interrupted that dialogue on the balcony. Raymond was amazed that the guy remembered this and invited her. The girl suggested getting straight to the point. The Duchess reported that Ben's medicine was too expensive. The aristocrat laughed and asked if she really thought so. Duke Haribo was amazed that the girl really thought so. Raymond said that she would be interested to know why there was a shortage of medicines in the country. The guy was amazed that she asked him such an interesting question. The reincarnated one remembered the entries in the diaries. Raymond wrote that in other countries there were many medicinal herbs. In this kingdom, medicines were very expensive and sold only in limited quantities. The reincarnated heard that the aristocrat was importing medicine from other countries. The girl understood that this was a serious problem. Benz admitted that their country was lagging behind in the field of medicine. The pharmacist said that because of this, it was possible to sell drugs at inflated prices. The girl asked why their country was so far behind others. Benz asked whether the guest really didn't know about it. The reincarnated woman was glad that she was from another country. The aristocrat explained that it all started because of the Myers family. The boy explained that the kingdom relied heavily on this family. No one saw the need for medicine production. Raymond was amazed that there were healers in this world. The pharmacist told her that the Myers were able to heal people with just one touch. He explained that all the family members were killed by the royal family. Raymond asked why His Highness did this. The girl realized that this had caused serious damage to the country. Ben said that the official reason was blasphemy. The reborn was shocked that the king had exterminated the healers because of this. She clenched her fists in excess of emotion. She saw how common people suffered without the ability to find even the most basic medicines. The Duke said he didn't know why the girl was buying up such a huge amount of medicine. The guy assured her that she wouldn't be able to find a cheaper option. Raymond said that she wanted to solve this problem herself. The Duchess explained that they could create medicine and distribute it to ordinary citizens. The owner of the estate said that this was absurd. The guy assured that she could not have developed medicine so easily. The guest asked to tell her plans to Lady Lucia as soon as possible. The Duke said that this was empty gossip. He admitted that his sister had suffered a serious trauma in childhood. During a literature lesson, the little girl suddenly fainted. Many young nobles gathered at the school. The reborn realized that the girls felt ill in places where there were many people. Raymond assumed that the princess had a psychological illness. Rising from her seat, the aristocrat said that she could do more than just chatter. The girl asked to be taken to the young lady's room. Benz asked if she was sure he shouldn't talk to his sister first. The reborn saw the second part of the mansion. She noticed that many rooms were filled with flowers. The girl understood that it could be dangerous for a person with breathing problems. Raymond said that this was the most terrible room. The pharmacist asked if she was sure she wanted to tell the owner of the estate. The girl asked to immediately remove the flowers from the windowsill. She explained that the pollen was carried by a draft in the room. The reborn reported that the dolls were also harmful to the respiratory system. The girl asked to choose flowers that increased humidity. Raymond assured that this would significantly improve the princess's condition. Benz looked at the guest with surprise and asked where she knew this information from. The reborn assured that she loved to read. Laughing, the Duke said that he could not restrain himself watching her impudence. The aristocrat was amazed that she dared to stick her nose not only into his business, but also into the interior. Raymond realized she should have chosen a better excuse. The pharmacist said that another nobleman would have thrown her out of the mansion. The guy said he was too intrigued. He agreed to follow her advice. The Duke hoped that the girl really knew how to overcome his little sister's illness. Taking the girl by the hand, the aristocrat said that he would like their relationship to move to a new level. The girl felt the piercing gaze of his ruby eyes. The reborn sharply pulled her hand away. Raymond reminded her that she was married. The guy smiled and said that he didn't mean that. He admitted that he would like to do business with Raymond. The businessman said that he would like to have such a person as his business partner. Adjusting his hair, Benz admitted that people often misinterpreted his intentions. The guy asked him to think carefully about his proposal. Duke Haribo said that he would understand any decision she made. The embarrassed reincarnated woman said that it was time for her to go. Smiling, Ben said that he wanted to discuss something else before she left. When Raymond got out of the carriage, a girl met her. The Duchess hoped that she had a good chat with the princess. Alina suggested having a cup of tea. Our heroine froze in surprise. It was the first time she had been so polite. The Duchess reported that their husbands were busy that day. Alina complained that the estate had become too boring. The girl admitted that she always wanted to talk to Raymond alone. She said that she heard about her good deeds. The reincarnated one assured that she simply put into practice what she had read. Taking Raymond by the hand, the girl suggested discussing everything over a cup of tea. Alina said that she wanted to ask her relative a lot. The Duchess assumed that she was treated better because she had changed her behavior. The reborn realized that in the eyes of the aristocrat, she was no longer a villain. Alina asked the lady to greet the Duchess of Rogers. The girl froze in a stupor. The foreigner was communicating with these noble ladies at the celebration. The Duchess noticed that the tea had already cooled. Raymond realized that the girls had discussed everything long before her arrival. The villainess could not understand why Alina brought her to this place. The girl said that she was delighted with the changes that Raymond introduced. The brunette noticed that the gardeners wore unusual cone-shaped hats. The lady thought they were toy-like. The villain said that she made hats for the workers so that their skin wouldn't suffer. Macford recalled that the Duchess heroically cured Lucia. The brunette admitted that it looked simply magical. The Duchess said that she had only given the baby first aid. The villainess became wary, remembering how hostile the girls had been. Alina praised her relative for such deep knowledge of medicine. She noted that there were not many people in the kingdom who were capable of such things. Macford was surprised that the aristocrat had such knowledge. She assumed that the blonde was related to that very family. The girl advised Duchess Rogers to be careful. The healer wanted to object. The girl frantically realized that her body had gone numb. Alina asked not to rush to such conclusions. The Duchess said that she was her relative. She announced that tea was over. The lady suggested a walk in the garden. Benz asked the girl if she had chosen the princess's birthday present on her own. The aristocrat said that someone had advised her to do so. The guy noticed that Raymond had given the little girl a new perfume from a competitor's store. The Duchess froze in a stupor. She didn't know how to justify herself. The pharmacist said that the gesture was quite rude. The guy said that Raymond should not trust the person who advised her to do this. The villainess frantically realized that Alina hated her. The reborn realized that something had happened in this world that had not made it onto the pages of the novel. The ladies looked at the rose arch with admiration. Smiling, Alina asked if the girl thought these roses were beautiful. The Duchess collapsed on the floor and her vision went blurry. The girls quickly ran up to the victim. Alina, burying her face in her knees, sobbed inconsolably. The mother-in-law asked the girl if it was true. The Duchess reported that Raymond was looking at the rose garden that she took such good care of. The girl reported that the victim covered her mouth with her hand and then suddenly collapsed. She tightly clutched the hem of her dress. Alina assumed that it was because the girl didn't like roses. The girl was afraid that they would stop communicating. Kalyan advised his wife not to apologize for something she did not know. The husband reminded her that she tried to prepare this event for the girl. The boy drew the mother's attention to the fact that the victim was wasteful. Kalyan reported that the foreigner had been mocking Cedric. He was furious that she had now dared to offend his wife's dignity. The guy asked her to take immediate action. The woman asked Cedric to prepare for fatherhood. With admiration, the Duchess assumed that Raymond was pregnant. The girl was lying in her bed, tormented by nightmares. The little girl was running in the rain. Her body was wrapped in rags. The man was kneeling and begging for mercy. Seeing the man's death, Raymond ran away. The girl begged him to just kill her. The knight swung his sword and decided to check if she was telling the truth. The reborn jumped up from her bed. She realized that this was too realistic for a normal dream. The Duchess remembered how she lost consciousness in the rose garden. The girl went to the shelf and took the book. The original Raymond was learning about herbs that helped her fall asleep. The reborn wanted to know what the villainess wanted to do with this medicine. She wanted to know why she started feeling sick in the rose garden. The girl realized that she had to find out more about her past. Alina asked her husband what dress she should choose. Without looking up from his book, her husband said that white would suit her hair color better. The girl reminded him of the letter he had given her after moving in. Killian explained that it had been a long time ago. The wife assured that she remembered the contents as well as if she had read it yesterday. The Duke claimed that he would become the head of the family. She praised her lover for his efforts. Smiling, Alina said that she found submissive men attractive. She promised to do everything to ensure that the ladies received their gift. The girl agreed to keep the man a secret. Alina asked whether her husband would continue to cooperate with her. The Duchess grabbed him by the face. Suddenly, there was a knock at the door. The Duchess allowed him to come in. The guy hoped that she felt much better. Raymond reported that she suddenly lost consciousness. The handsome man admitted that he came to tell her something. Soon many servants entered the room. The courtiers carried luxurious clothes, cosmetics, and jewelry. The girl asked what was happening. Cedric explained that his mother thought his wife was pregnant. Cold sweat began to run down the boy's face. The handsome man said that he did not want to upset the woman. He promised to tell his mother about the misunderstanding a little later.